This is Change Radio News, the news read by Kumbira Mtasa. Here are the headlines. Prison cells a death trap, Harare Mayor said. MDC Alliance lawyer arrested. Bobi Wine security member killed. And now for the news in detail. Mayor Jacob Mafume has said that Zimbabwean prisons are a death trap. Mayor Mafume highlighted this after he appeared for his bail hearing. He said it's signing off a death sentence. Mayor Mafume said prisoners at the remand prison are highly exposed to COVID-19. On Monday, 8 prisoners appeared at the High Court without face masks. Only 2 had the face masks. Harare Mayor Jacob Mafume and 1 other prisoner. MDC Alliance lawyer Thabani was arrested today and charged with obstruction of justice after he criticized Chicken Info supporting a footage released by Zanupf government. He was later released after signing a caution statement. He was being represented by Harrison Nkomo of the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. Change Radio is here to find out more on this issue. Francis Senteza Kalibala, a 25-year-old member of Bobi Wine's security team, was deliberately run over by a military truck. The military blocked them in Bosega on their way to Rubaga to get Kasir Ashraf emergency medical attention. Writing on his Twitter wall, Bobi Wine said, open court, Frank, a safe journey to you, brother. You fought a good fight. You were brutally murdered on duty. At 25 years of age, you could have chosen another path, but you chose the struggle for freedom. You were a real revolutionary. Now you're a tower above us, a true Ugandan hero. Close quote. A Zimbabwean journalist has bemoaned the abuse of journalists by the state. Speaking during a Change Radio end-of-year review program, journalist Virginia said, journalists face challenges this year when they attempted to cover stories. Over 20 journalists were arrested or assaulted, and this was a huge distraction in their operations. This is what she said.
I would just like to say that there was an attack compared to other years where journalists found themselves being attacked from I think the month of March, when the COVID actually started. There were so many issues that got journalists in some sort of trouble, which they never knew before. We had in April, there were about 5 journalists that were arrested, the likes of Panashe Mapfa, Beatrice from Zim, and some journalists were also beaten up. I remember in Warren Park, we had Leopold Munende, we had Munashi Chakoda, they were beaten up. And you know, the attack continues like that. And for some reason, people still don't understand, like in the fraternity, why there's so many attacks. We have the Impala attacks where many journalists were also attacked as well, and equipment was stolen. Then we have the recent one where 5 other journalists were also arrested when the councillors were arrested at the townhouse. This has become a sort of a silent voice to the journalists, to the media fraternity, whereby it hasn't been said what crime people are actually committing when they are going about their day-to-day services. But throughout the year, we had the likes of Mududu Simatutu, we had Hopo Chingono, and they were exposing a lot. And, you know, it sort of seems there's still a bit of under attack. We had Tawanda Mcheyiwa. It's something that even in the media fraternity, it becomes very difficult to actually point out to say, is there now a law of some sort that there's certain topics that journalists are meant to cover and certain topics of interest that they're not supposed to cover. And also the other challenging factor that has affected the journalism industry is the citizen journalism. For some reason, being a journalist, you need to perfect your story, you need to perfect your visuals, you need to perfect it. But when a citizen gets to a story and they just let it out, by the time that you as a journalist are trying to let out the script, the print, and you're trying to let out the visuals or the audios, it becomes a bit of a contradictory because the narrative of the citizen now needs to make sense with your own. So I think at large, the journalists this year have actually they've just been writing and and, you know, trying to come up with stuff, but at the same time, it has really been difficult. I mean, we had to write about COVID, and no one had actually seen this disease or experienced the disease. So many journalists died throughout this year, and most, we could say, were affected by the COVID. We have Janet Munyaka from ZBC, may her soul rest in eternal peace. At the end of the day, it was also difficult because when you look at other countries, they got the protective personal equipment and to protect themselves and covering stories. But in Zimbabwe, it was let me just go and take the story in 2020, and it was really a challenging year. But I want to believe my fellow colleagues in the industry will stay strong. My fellow colleagues in the industry have taken the bull by the horn, and although we are under attack from different angles, from different people, we will stay strong in the media fraternity.
Change Radio has reached David Namo, based in Rusape, Mvengere, on Cyclone Charlene. Speaking to Change Radio, David said the people have not received any help from anyone in a way to avoid the effects of the predicted disaster. This is what he said.
Makadii veruzhinji, ini ndinonzi David Namo, ndiri kuno kwaRusape Mvengere. Izvezvi mamiriro akaita kunze ari kuratidza kuti mvura inogona kunaya munguva pfupi iri kutevera, asi pari zvino makore ari mudenga mashoma chaizvo. Nekunzwa kwatakaita nezvecyclone iri kuuya, tiri kungogara tichinamata kuti dai yarega kuti isvikira kuno kwaRusape. Semaparadzire aya akaita kuChimanimani last time, tiri kungotyirawo kuti ikadzoka ine simba rakadaro vanhu vazhinji vanogona kuparadzirwa dzimba dzavo vachizorasikirwa neupenyu. Ari zvino hapana rubatsiro rwatati tawana kubva kuna ani naani zvake mukuedza kudzivirira kurasikirwa neupenyu kana kurasikirwa kuparadzirwa dzimba necyclone.
Zimbabwe Football Association has revealed that 9 of its players tested positive to coronavirus. This comes when the organization was preparing for the African National Championship Games. The players have been placed in isolation. The organization has already suspended trainings to ensure safety of other players. Meanwhile, the surge in coronavirus cases has forced South African government to impose a level 3 tier lockdown. South Africa has announced that they have a new strain of COVID-19 known as 501.V2. It was identified by KwaZulu-Natal researchers. They said it is unrelated to the new mutated found in the UK, that is 17% more transmissible. South Africa has become the first country on the continent to register more than 1 million COVID-19 cases. The lockdown restrictions expected to be in place until at least mid-January. 300 workers fired by Air Zimbabwe 5 years ago have said they are owed 100 million in outstanding salaries. The workers won a long-drawn legal battle to return to work. They say they are struggling to make ends meet. Now to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Prison cells a death trap, Harare Mayor said. MDC Alliance lawyer arrested. Bobby Wine security member killed. That concludes our news bulletin.